LifeLiberty with a musty beard, preaching loud for all to hear. Self-sustained, don't live in fear. He ain't buying what they steer. Self-righteous here to tell the world's gone straight to, well, got no love for ATS, says liberals, they're a mess. LifeLiberty, he's so proud, living off the grid, not with the crowd, shaking fists at big city's mess. His way's the only, nothing less. Solar panels on the roof, solar panels on the roof. No one tells him what's the truth. Buys his goods from local folks, hates the government side folks. Pokes, plants the seeds the garden grows, hates the talk of those he opposes. Got his place, his peace of mind, voices loud, the blind lead the blind. LifeLiberty, he's so clear, he's the echo we all hear. Takes a stand, won't bow down, got his kingdom, where's the crown? The garden grows, hates the talk of those he opposes. Got his place, his peace of mind, voices loud, the blind lead the blind. LifeLiberty, he's so clear, he's the echo we all hear. Takes a stand, won't bow down, got his kingdom, where's the crown? LifeLiberty, he's so clear, he's the echo we all hear. Takes a stand, won't bow down, got his kingdom, where's the crown? Where's the crown? LifeLiberty with a musty beard, preaching loud for all to hear. Self-sustained, don't live in fear. He ain't buying what they steer. LifeLiberty with a musty beard, preaching loud for all to hear. Self-sustained, don't live in fear. He ain't buying what they steer. Self-righteous here to tell the world's gone straight to, well, got no love for ATS, says liberals, they're a mess. LifeLiberty, he's so proud, living off the grid, not with the crowd, shaking fists at big city's mess. His way's the only, nothing less. Solar panels on the roof, solar panels on the roof. No one tells him what's the truth. Buys his goods from local folks, hates the government side folks. Pokes, plants the seeds the garden grows, hates the talk of those he opposes. Got his place, his peace of mind, voices loud, the blind lead the blind. LifeLiberty, he's so clear, he's the echo we all hear. Takes a stand, won't bow down, got his kingdom, where's the crown? Solar panels Voices loud, the blind lead the blind. LifeLiberty, he's so clear. He's the echo we all hear. Takes a stand, won't bow down. God his kingdom, wears the crown. LifeLiberty, he's so clear. He's the echo we all hear. Takes a stand, won't bow down. God his kingdom, wears the crown. Wears the crown. LifeLiberty with a musty beard, preaching loud for all to hear. Self-sustained, don't live in fear. He ain't buying what they steer. LifeLiberty with a musty beard, preaching loud for all to hear. Self-sustained, don't live in fear. He ain't buying what they steer. Self-righteous here to tell, the world's gone straight to, well, got no love for ATS, says liberals, they're a mess. LifeLiberty, he's so proud, living off the grid, not with the crowd. Shaking fists at big city's mess. His ways the only, nothing less. Solar panels on the roof. Solar panels on the roof. No one tells him what's the truth. Buys his goods from local folks. Hates the government side pokes. Plants the seeds, the garden grows. Hates the talk of those he opposes. Got his place, his peace of mind. Voices loud, the blind lead the blind. LifeLiberty, he's so clear. He's the echo we all hear. Takes a stand, won't bow down. Got his kingdom, wears the crown. The garden grows. Hates the talk of those he opposes. Got his place, his peace of mind. Voices loud, the blind lead the blind. LifeLiberty, he's so clear. He's the echo we all hear. Takes a stand, won't bow down. Got his kingdom, wears the crown. LifeLiberty, he's so clear. He's the echo we all hear. Takes a stand, won't bow down. Got his kingdom, wears the crown.
Hi, my name is Jenny. I'm a sophomore, and this is for all three of you. Can you say why America is the greatest country in the world?
Diversity and opportunity.
Lewis?
Freedom and freedom. So let's keep it that way.
Will?
The New York Jets.
No, I'm going to hold you to an answer on that. What makes America the greatest country in the world? Why is America
Not the greatest country in the world, Professor. That's my answer.
You're saying...
Yes.
Let's talk about...
Fine. Sharon, the NEA is a loser. Yeah, it accounts for a penny out of our paycheck, but he gets to hit you with it anytime he wants. It doesn't cost money. It costs votes. It costs airtime and column inches. You know why people don't like liberals? Because they lose. If liberals are so fucking smart, how come they lose so goddamn always?
Hey.
And with a straight face, you're going to tell students that America is so star-spangled awesome that we're the only ones in the world who have freedom? Canada has freedom. Japan has freedom. The UK, France, Italy, Germany, Spain, Australia, Belgium has freedom. So 207 sovereign states in the world, like 180 of them have freedom.
All right.
And yeah, you, sorority girl, just in case you accidentally wander into a voting booth one day, there's some things you should know. And one of them is, there is absolutely no evidence to support the statement that we're the greatest country in the world. We're 7th in literacy, 27th in math, 22nd in science, 49th in life expectancy, 178th in infant mortality, 3rd in median household income, number 4 in labor force, and number 4 in exports. We lead the world in only 3 categories: number of incarcerated citizens per capita, number of adults who believe angels are real, and defense spending, where we spend more than the next 26 countries combined, 25 of whom are allies. Now, none of this is the fault of a 20-year-old college student, but you nonetheless are, without a doubt, a member of the worst generation ever. So when you ask what makes us the greatest country in the world, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Sure used to be. We stood up for what was right. We fought for moral reasons. We passed laws, struck down laws for moral reasons. We waged wars on poverty, not poor people. We sacrificed. We cared about our neighbors. We put our money where our mouths were, and we never beat our chest. We built great big things, made ungodly technological advances, explored the universe, cured diseases, and we cultivated the world's greatest artists and the world's greatest economy. We reached for the stars, acted like men. We aspired to intelligence. We didn't belittle it. It didn't make us feel inferior. We didn't identify ourselves by who we voted for in the last election, and we didn't scare so easy. We were able to be all these things and do all these things because we were informed by great men who were revered. First step in solving any problem is recognizing there is one. America is not the greatest country in the world anymore. Enough?
All right, welcome to the Life Liberty Show. Today we're going to go ahead and cover the hurricane coming in. It's 15 miles. The eye is 15 miles from landfall. You don't actually get landfall until the center of the eye has reached the coast. So we'll just go ahead and go right into it. We've got some news coverage going on. We'll bring that up and start listening and watching and see what's going on. And I'll break in during the commercials, or if I hear something, and I'll break in and say something. Here we go.
Tampa Bay are negative. You look at Clearwater Beach. It's 3 feet negative because the high winds are blowing that water out to sea. That's why those numbers are lower. So when we showed you this map, we were looking at the Naples area. Max potential was 6 to 9 feet. Right now we have 5 foot, so we'll probably get close to that. So that's kind of an indication of how close we'll come to some of these numbers. We'll see if we get to that 9 to 13 feet. And there's no gauges here. We have reporters on the ground. They have their cameras. They can show us the water off the balconies of some of the hotels. It's in the middle of the night. There's lights. So we'll have some idea of how bad the surge is, but it won't be until the morning, especially for those barrier island beaches when the helicopters get up, and the wind should be light enough early tomorrow that we'll bring you those pictures as soon as we get them in. So that's how people will know for the first time how much the destruction was on the outer beaches. And then as far as we go into tonight and tomorrow, the hurricane force winds are in a kind of small little ball here. Those are coming on shore, but those will track right through central Florida. The highest wind gust now, that's the highest I've seen right there. Sarasota just had a gust not far from Tom at 93 miles per hour. St. Petersburg is at 77. So it looks like the winds will max out close to 100 with some of these gusts, and that's very typical with these storms. And here's the path of the storm. I just want to show people in Central Florida that this storm will take that turn from Winter Haven, just south of Orlando, heading by the Space Coast, Titusville to Melbourne, and this will be during the middle of the night. By the time we get to 2 p.m., I'll move all the way over here. This storm's gone. So this storm is off the Space Coast, Tom, by about, I'd say, 11 a.m. in the morning. We won't even be talking about what's left of this storm. It'll be exiting and gone. All of the damage is being done now and then over about the next 13 hours.
All right, Bill Cairns, we appreciate that, and it's good to know exactly what's happening, especially where we are. I want to go to Stephanie Goss, just north of us in Tampa. Stephanie, talk to us about what we're seeing there.
Yeah, Tom, you heard Bill just talking about it right there, that the fiercest winds right now are in Tampa, and that's absolutely what we're seeing. They have picked up incredibly just over the last half hour. Torrential rain right now, really unsafe for people to be outside, and there have been emergency warnings to shelter in place. The governor just spoke to the state, also talking to people to be smart, to stay in place, to not go out on the roads. We've been talking about the last few days, not just trees and debris and things coming off of buildings, but of course all of those streets that are lined with the debris from Hurricane Helene. The gusts at this point, definitely hurricane force winds that we are seeing, probably sustained hurricane force winds at time, Tom. This is about as intense as it's going to get, although you look at this and it seems like a nightmare scenario, but it is not as bad as it could have been. As we've been talking about the track of the storm, the real concern about it coming right into Tampa Bay and those surge levels going up to 8, 9, 10 feet. That is not going to happen, and that is a dodged bullet for this area. But certainly where you are, they're right in the target zone, Tom.
See everything that everybody's talking about.
Yeah, Stephanie Goss for Stephanie. We appreciate all your reporting. Thank you for that live report. You have no idea how much we appreciate it. Sam Brock is joining us live from Fort Myers tonight. And Sam, I'm going to walk our viewers through what's going to happen right now as the eye wall approaches Sarasota. As we get closer to an eye passing over where I am, I'm going to move and I'm going to go downstairs with our team again to a safe area. It's going to take some time for us to do that to make sure that we're safe and everybody's okay to do that. In the meantime, Sam's going to pick up the anchoring job right now. And Sam, you're going to lead our viewers through the next 10 or 15 minutes or so. Talk to us first about what's happening in Fort Myers.
Sure. And let me just say, Tom, and thank you so much for that handoff. In terms of safety, I'm glad you outlined that. We're doing the same thing out here in Fort Myers. We're in a parking garage right now. I'm on the 4th or 5th floor, so storm surge, absolutely not an issue. Very strong structure. We're protected from the winds up here. If you look over my shoulder, you'll see the Calahoochee River over my shoulder. That river, we are expecting at some point to crest. It's at about street level right now, but the wind gusts are what I'm paying closest attention to, because once you get to 45 miles per hour or more of sustained winds, that is when you're seeing local governments decide that they are not going to send their first responders out to try to rescue people. It is the very reason why for days now you've heard governments from Sarasota, where Tom is, all the way down to Lee County, where I am, telling people if you're in a mandatory evacuation zone, you have to leave because no one is coming in after you once it becomes too dangerous. That is the situation we find ourselves in right now when it concerns Sarasota, the city of Petersburg, Pasco County, Manatee County, Charlotte County. All of them right now within the last hour or so have told our desk that they are not sending deputies and first responders into harm's way as the winds have picked up. So let's just start there. As far as what we're seeing on the ground here, beyond just the winds and the surge, we are right now inland. So you have North Fort Myers just on the other side of this river here, and then about 10 miles away, all of these barrier islands that don't just run where we are in terms of this latitude, but all the way up and down the west coast of Florida. When you picture why people want to move here in the first place, that is certainly one of the first things that comes to mind. It's the beautiful beaches, these historic hotels, and I'm thinking about places like Sanibel Island now, hotels that have stood there for decades, if not generations, that were destroyed by Hurricane Ian a couple of years ago. Pine Island, you have Matlacha, which is this small little connective tissue between Fort Myers and Pine Island. The bridge just went out 2 years ago, really just from the storm surge and obviously the wind as well. That's why we're so worried at this point in time about the storm surge. 8 to 12 feet, these places become isolated all of a sudden. And so that's just something to consider as we watch in the coming hours the storm surge continuing to rise. We've already seen that in Naples, for example, it's reached a major flood stage. Fort Myers Beach, which again, about 10 miles out from this way, saw, at least there's pictures and sort of snap photos of that water rising to right where the businesses are, coastline, and that was an hour or two ago. So that has to be in the back of your mind. I want to bring in Liz Alpert right now, who is the mayor of Sarasota, really, literally the center of the storm, the eye of the storm, as it's making landfall pretty much as we speak. Mayor, thank you so much for joining us. Seems like you're in a safe place. I'm very glad to see that. Can you walk us through what are the steps right now that you have to go through when it concerns protecting residents? I know you've evacuated as many as you could the last several days. What are the actions at this exact moment in time?
Well, at this exact moment, there really isn't a lot we can do other than just monitor the situation, wait for the storm to pass, and then get out and assess the damage. We haven't heard from anybody so far that needed an emergency rescue, which tells me people did follow the evacuation orders and get out. I'm not too far from where Tom is in downtown Sarasota, and I'm seeing like the lights on US 41 are out, so some of the power is out in certain parts of the city, but so far so good. And as you said, you know, we're going through the eye now, and the worst of it's going to come later, but for right now we're holding pretty steady.
Mayor, are you getting the impression that many people did heed the warnings, whether it was from Helene or Ian a couple of years prior? Because I'm hearing the same sort of language here in terms of Lee County telling us that they had about 7,000 people show up to their 13 shelters. You know, it went from 1,600 yesterday to almost 7,000 today. Are you seeing a similar response from your population?
Absolutely. People after Helene realized that it really isn't a joke to say there's going to be storm surge. Before that, we heard that all the time, I have to admit myself, but it never happened. Well, this time it happened, and people saw what it could do and took this warning seriously for an even almost twice as large storm surge.
I'm so fascinated to hear you say that, because I do feel like storm fatigue, Mayor, is a real thing. And after Helene, maybe there was the before and after of sort of a new paradigm of what's possible and what's likely when you get these major hurricanes that not even rapidly intensify, extreme intensification, 100 miles an hour, basically in 24 hours. Do you think sort of those realities have sunk into the minds of people that could potentially be in vulnerable positions?
So right
well,
now,
at least this soon after another major hurricane event, you know, people didn't have time to forget it and go through other cycles where, you know, it really didn't happen. So, yeah, I think right now, at least for the near future, people will be taking it seriously.
What does tomorrow look like, Mayor? You know, I'm just curious because I can recall during Ian, I spent some time in Sarasota as well. I want to say in the day or two after Ian made landfall, you ended up with like 8 to 10 feet of storm surge rushing through your streets. I know I remember talking to a business owner that I had a particular project with, and he said that, you know, half of his items were ruined, water breached his store. Do you expect similar stories to unfold tomorrow and in the days to come?
I absolutely do, although since many people lost everything in Helene and it hasn't been, you know, more than a couple of weeks, I suspect, you know, what they were going to lose is already gone. But since this is going to be even higher, there'll be additional people that will lose everything. I did a tour of our St. Armand's Circle retail shops right after Helene, and every business lost all of their inventory. It was heartbreaking, and then it was heartbreaking to see.
So that surge, the storm surge, isn't that bad right now. They're right in the eye of the storm, and the eye is about 25 to 30 miles wide, so it's absolutely calm right now. And whenever the back end or even the very center of the eye makes landfall, and everything behind the center of the eye is going to actually be pretty chaotic. And as you can see right here above me, how it kind of curls around, that is going to just wreak havoc on Florida and on the coast. The brown eye of the storm. That's right.
Left and right, or do you feel like enough groundwork was done in the previous several days to prevent that from happening from your vantage point?
Well, we really worked feverishly to get up as much of that debris as we could before this hurricane. We couldn't operationally get it all, but we got a majority of it.
And guys, you got to think, all this debris that you see on the side of the roads, which was all of their stuff that got destroyed from Helene. So as this storm comes in, that's all going to be projectiles. That's all going to be some debris that can be thrown around and tear up houses and cars. And this is why they wanted everybody to leave. Not only is the storm going to be bad, but I mean, Helene just destroyed the area. So there's stuff everywhere.
To local authorities like, the city of Sarasota and reporting that they can't find this person or that person. It may just be because they can't reach them via cell phone. We just saw this with Helene, or in some other cases, those folks are not genuinely reachable because tragically they've died or they've moved out and didn't tell anyone that they were leaving the area. Are you expecting similar sorts of steps to unfold here?
Oh, of course. I mean, after every tragedy like this, that there are stories of people not being able to get in touch with relatives from.
Yeah, Rock says that's wild. I couldn't imagine that sort of wind power. Well, when you're talking, what did they say it was, 110 mile an hour winds, that stuff will just pick up and move. And there's tornadoes. There's been 4 or 5 confirmed tornadoes on the ground. They have video evidence, and it appeared that they had a couple twins as well, which is 2 tornadoes right next to each other. So they're getting pretty hammered right now. And guys, this is what I talk about when being sustainable, being ready. Yes, this scenario, you couldn't grow your own vegetables. This stuff would just get destroyed. But you can have a plan in place so that you can guarantee that you're going to be okay. And if you don't plan for this, then you're planning to fail.
30 minutes or so actually south of where I'm standing right now, and Dana's been out there for several days reporting what she sees from the ground there. And Dana, our understanding is there's been some material changes when it comes to storm surge, specifically in Naples. I know you're keeping close tabs on that. What are you seeing there?
Yeah, so Sam, right now, oddly enough, we've seen rain on and off most of the day, but you're not seeing it come down as strong as it was, but we're getting a lot of wind, very windy gusts right now. We have learned that the storm surge has reached 4 feet already in Naples. It's hard to see it from this area because we are much farther inland, but again, the winds are picking up. The Collier County government posted on their Facebook page just moments ago reminding people to stay hunkered down, to not go out on the streets. It is too dangerous, and to avoid flooded areas specifically, especially because this is a dangerous storm and it's more dangerous in the dark. They've already seen some power outages. Our hotel, which is not too far from our location here, lost power momentarily. They had backup generators. They were able to get back up and running. But this is obviously a fluid situation here. And even though we are several miles south of, say, you and other people that are in much dire situations in Sarasota, the impacts are still being felt here. Sam?
Yeah, Dana, can you walk me through anecdotally, like what are people telling you when you were talking to them about their level of concern in the days leading up to Milton? As you said, Naples is 30 minutes south of where we are, and obviously is the.
Hey, Lindsay, thanks for coming over to Rumble. Anybody else that's watching this or can hear me, please come on over to Rumble, hang out, talk to the good people in the comments, get involved.
Talking about evacuation warnings and evacuation alerts because they knew that the storm was going to be so serious and so dangerous. We talked to residents who said that they were taking this more seriously than they have in the past. You know, when it comes to hurricane preparedness, you hear people say all the time, oh, you know, back in the day, years and decades, or years ago, decades ago, people would hear hurricane preparedness, and that meant grabbing a case of beer, hunkering down with your friends, but staying put. But because of the impacts of these larger storms that are becoming more impactful, and even just Ian that struck 2 years ago, and although there was not a direct here in Naples, they had some impacts, including the Naples Pier, which was destroyed, half of it washed away, and it has not even been rebuilt 2 years later. They are concerned, and there's a sense of fear and anxiety, especially for communities that are in or along the coast. Those are the evacuation zones those are the areas that were evacuated just days ago because they are very vulnerable. We saw videos showing just 2 years ago how much storm surge can wipe out homes and wipe out vegetation and wipe out areas that people thought they were safe from. So they were very concerned. You had a lot of anxiety. But on the flip side, Sam, you had tons of surfers on the beach. Every day we were out there this week, we saw more and more people show up. Even today, as tornado warnings were going off, you can see the video. This is the video that my producer, Carmen.
Did you see that? That's some of the best surf you're ever going to have in America. Those guys are out there surfing as a hurricane comes in. It happens regularly. That is a dedication.
Every time a hurricane is coming, and at the time we saw lightning, our phones were going off because of those alerts warning us of a tornado. They said they were going to stay out a couple hours more. We hope they are safe. We hope they've reached higher ground. They said they were not evacuating because they were farther inland and they were not as concerned. And hopefully people heeded the warnings to leave. Let's talk about some shelter information. They have space capacity for 4,600 people to reach the shelters. There's about 8 of them here in Collier County, including one special needs shelter that will have a backup generator so that if they were to lose power, people who need special medical devices will be able to be hooked up to those devices. But about 1,900 people are in those shelters, and people are coming through as we speak. Sam?
What a stunning juxtaposition of those surfers who were both receiving emergency alerts at the same time as they were hitting the beach. Dana Griffin, thank you so much for breaking that all down for us as the storm surge there, according to our folks in our weather unit, is approaching 6 feet in Naples. I want to bring in right now the sheriff of Charlotte County, that would be Bill Promo, to talk a little bit about what's going on where you are, Bill. You sort of split the difference between me and Dana. I'm wondering also, Charlotte County, to my understanding, ceased its emergency response services within the last hour and a half. Can you walk me through what calculations go behind that decision and sort of what you're seeing from your vantage point?
Yes, well, usually when the winds reach about 45 miles per hour sustained winds, we start to pull everybody back. But we also get the input from our supervisors and commanders that are out there on the road. So if they deem that the conditions are too unsafe for us to remain out there on the road and start responding to calls, we pull everybody back in. And that's just what we had to do because we had sustained winds that were well over 45 miles an hour. And we're still seeing that now.
Did you realize, I know we were talking about this earlier, Sheriff Prommel, the fact that there might have been the perception among some of these parts of the West Coast, Southwest Florida, that the storm wasn't going to really be as damaging here versus the Tampa Bay area. But at any point, did you let your guard down, or did you feel like folks in Charlotte County were really trying to message and get people evacuated and get them in safe spaces this entire week?
No, I've been through several storms now. I was through Hurricane Charlie back in 2004. I was through Ian just 2 years ago. We had Helene just go by our coast a little while ago. And one of the things, whenever I hear there's a storm going to Tampa, I always brace ourselves here because that's what Ian was supposed to do. That's what Charlie was supposed to do. So our messaging was the same. We were telling people to get out well in advance. But unfortunately, in the beginning, people weren't heeding the call. They felt because some who stayed during Ian, they felt because they made it through that they were going to be fine. They felt because it's going to be up in Tampa that they're going to be fine. I've warned people, ever since Charlie, after Ian, they don't realize how lucky we were. Though they were very strong and damaging storms, all we got in those was wind because we took direct hits. We never got.
All right, guys. Well, hey, I appreciate it. I'm not going to cover the whole thing. This is going to go on till 2 o'clock in the morning. It's kind of the beginning. There wasn't much going on in the news today, so I just decided to cover the beginnings of this. Hey, those of you that have family in the area down there that were unable to get out of there, go ahead and pray for them. Think about them. And after this, when they make it through it, be sure and make a plan with them so that they know what to do to get out of there. I would recommend personally moving away from there. I come from an area of hurricanes. I no longer live there. You just stuff gets teared up. It's too hard to prepare for long term. So guys, I appreciate it. Hey, and be sure and buy American. These guys, if they had some Warhorse Ordnance gear, they would definitely have a leg up. You can put that in your vehicles whenever you get out, and then you would be able to carry all of your equipment with you. That's Warhorse Ordnance. They are an American-made, veteran-owned company. All of their products are absolutely sourced right here in America. And we are in the process of working on a collab with Warhorse. We are going to put a shirt out. Be sure and go to the link in the bio and check that out. Keep an eye on for it. And while you're there, look at some other stuff. I'm sure you're going to find something over there that you like. We're constantly putting more and more gear and clothes. We're working on household. We are currently in the process of working on a women's line, which is either going to be Wife Liberty or Wife Life. So that's my wife putting that together in conjunction with my producer. They're working on getting some of that stuff together. So if you would, go over to warhorseordnance.com. Thank you guys very much. Go ahead and stay up to date. Continue paying attention to this. This is going to be a big deal. You'll be able to see how the government isn't really involved, and you will know how to take care of yourself. Just watch and learn. Thank you.
Drag them in, and they'll follow you until the day you die. I tell myself I've done this before. It's hard to get a handle on you walking out the door. So just take another message to the people who know more. The talk is growing old, and so am I. And so